Good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this June 15th version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon, and we're on Roku. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
How are you, man?
I'm excellent. It's First Friday.
Friday.
The other places you can find us is obviously right here on Facebook, Instagram at EOA Live TV, Twitter at EOA Live TV, but we haven't really got the thumb on the old Twitter thing yet. I'm not a Twitter dude, and we don't really have a Twitter person in here.
Right.
Heck, I wasn't an Instagram dude until a year ago.
Yeah.
And that was all taught to me by my 12-year-old daughter at the time.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have to start learning how to do Twitter a little bit, because I feel like a lot of the younger generation uses Twitter and Instagram. They don't use Facebook at all.
I don't know. That'd be really interesting. I don't to be able to determine that, because Twitter is so it's more and more visually based, but originally it was based just on text.
I know for sports, for like the NAIA,
right?
Everything is Twitter.
Right.
It's 7-4 in the bottom of the fifth,
right.
And it's just one quick line.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just tweet.
Right. Right.
But the college kids, that's what they follow Twitter, and they follow Instagram, and they follow TikTok.
Right.
They don't really mess around with Facebook anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So but the power of Twitter is not. It's a sentence. It's quick. This is the update score, or So
a lot of TikTok and influencers on Instagram and TikTok use Twitter to advertise too. Like, hey, here's my Instagram. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I put up a new video.
Right.
Here's the link.
Yeah.
It's a good tool to just send out that quick little boom, there's a new video up, and that might be how we could figure out how to start. Yeah.
Well, and people can use it for brand. That's how they're using it for branding, you know. Yeah. But so much of our stuff is information based, it's like it's just the longer form stuff.
I think BC's anti-Twitter.
I'm anti-Twitter.
Are you? Are you afraid of it?
No, I just don't.
Never...
I just, for me, it doesn't have a practical use. There isn't, but part of it is I'm a very visual person. I'm not much of a reader. And so then if there's not a video or if there's not a picture, I'm not. So
I think most people are like that. I think, but just like I said, for Twitter, it would just be quick. There's pictures on Twitter now and videos.
Yeah.
And you can put a screenshot of the newest video and say, here it is.
Right. Well, and they have, and Twitter has gone that way because they know that people are right. Yeah. In order to stay alive. So
no doubt.
But well,
it might be something effective for me to use, when I'm covering a sports game.
Absolutely.
I can, if I'm there, I can just tweet, bam.
Right.
54-43 end of the first half instead of trying to do a whole post.
Right.
Or
because it's certainly
trying to follow comments at a baseball game and it's 4-3, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, without a doubt. that would be a real effective use of it. Nice. All right. You want to do sports?
Let's do it. This AM Sports Report is brought to you by Hobby Habit. Joe's got these really cool Indiana Jones Legos, and he says it's the best set that he's had all year. And there's a picture of them on the Instagram, Hobby Habit. You can go check them out. Hobby Habit right here in LeGrand. Appreciate them. 411 First Street, just for the fun of it. Sports. We don't got a lot going on. I'm going to keep touching on East-West Shrine for the next month and a half until we get to the game. I'm waiting for a schedule for summer baseball to come out, and then I'll be able to, get everybody information on that and what games I'm going to be able to get to. But for today, William McLaughlin, who's our play-by-play guy for the Shrine game, both years that we've done it, it's been him and I in the booth, him doing play-by-play, me doing color, and he's excellent at it. He was the SID at EOU. He's done play-by-play for them. He's actually a Shrine kid, too, and here's him talking about it a little.
I'm a former patient. I had 5 micro hand improvement surgeries. Best way to explain it is just by looking at my hands, actually. So In the beginning, when I was born, I didn't have any of my 4 fingers here grow properly. They kind of were like little stubs, almost like knuckles. And then my thumb here, most of it was maybe, just a hair over an inch long. And the doctors could never really guess what it was. It was just a genetic birth defect, because I'm an identical twin. And he was healthy when he was born, no defects or anything. So they really never were able to narrow it down. And about age 4, my grandmother, she introduced my parents to Shriners Hospital for Children and said that there's a pediatric unit out in Los Angeles. And so my parents put in all the information and they flew me out for a consultation, and they felt that I was a quality candidate. And yeah, so we went from there, and that's how I kind of basically began my path to becoming a patient for Shriners Hospital.
Very cool.
Very cool
I
story.
didn't even know that when we hired him.
I know it.
I did not.
That is just a very cool story.
Yeah.
When we hired him to do play-by-play, I don't think it was until the game day, and you guys were talking or somewhere, and he said, "Well, yeah, I was a Shriners patient."
Yeah. I had no idea. I mean, I knew that he had a disability with
Right,
his hand,
right.
but I had no idea that he was a Shriner kid.
Yeah.
And that just played into it, fit perfect.
Right.
It really
Which has been very cool. I mean, it's just been his relationship with Shriners, and then him doing the play-by-play on that day, on that of the game, and so and he's also going to be doing sales for us for the Shriners, whereas it's for us and for the Shrine game. And so anyhow, if you have a business and you want to, that's just a great opportunity to get the name out, get your branding out. Anyhow, we're gearing up to do that. So very cool. Well, while I want to be sure and mention Valley Insurance downtown, appreciate them sponsoring the morning show. They're an independent insurance agency that deals with all types of insurance, and be sure and check them out in downtown LeGrand in the old Umpqua Bank building. And then I also want to mention that the Grand Round Hospital Cancer Fun Run is this Saturday at the track below the hospital, and I think that they're full. I don't think that they have any more capacity, but you certainly could come and be a part of that run. And the purpose of that run is to bring awareness to the survivors or the patients currently of cancer and give them support and encouragement along the way. So anyhow, a lot of stuff happening this afternoon. That's their first one. Cool event.
That's today?
No, that's this Saturday.
Oh, you said a lot of stuff happening this afternoon. So
I'm sorry.
Okay.
A lot of
That's
stuff
this
happening this
Saturday,
weekend.
this
That's what I
Saturday.
meant. Yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah. This Saturday at 9, right?
Yep.
You could sign up at it, but
yeah.
there's no more places to sign up.
Yeah, I think they're at capacity. So let's take a look outside. Pretty. I love the cool mornings, man. It's just like but
Not gonna last much longer.
well, let's see what they're saying. So today 73 is the high,
What?
and then
Look at Sunday.
yeah, so Sunday's going to be down to 64. The high is 64. So
And the
yeah,
low going into the 30s. It's only gonna get down to 54 tonight.
yeah,
Or no, tomorrow night. 45 tonight.
yeah. But still, this feels more like spring than it does summer. But I'll take it.
It's still spring.
Yeah, is
right?
it?
Till June 21st. Isn't June 21st?
If where it kicks over?
Summer?
Yeah.
But we're also like a month behind. So,
Right.
It'll be summer all the way through September this year.
Yeah, yeah,
It'll be hot in September, I would think.
yeah. It's just kind of where it is. All right. Well, Union County Commissioner Paul Anderes is with us this morning. Always good to have him with us, and he'll be with us right after this. All right, we're back with Paul Anderes, Union County Commissioner. How much longer before you have to run again?
This term, I'm first year of my second 4-year term.
Oh, that's good. I couldn't. I've kind of lost track. I can't
Yeah.
remember. Yeah. So
6 months in, actually 6 months into my second term of 4 years.
okay.
Yeah.
Good
So,
deal.
This term will be over December of 26, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good deal.
How many
Well-
can you run? How many can? Is there a limit?
There is a term limit in,
What is it?
yeah, 2 4-year terms.
Oh, so you're done after this.
That's
And then
been,
do you
it,
just have
it
to
has
take
been challenged
one?
in other places.
Do you have to take one off and then you can come back, or is it done for?
One off, and then you could come back.
Okay.
And much like the governorship of Oregon, but it has been challenged in other counties successfully. That and it has been found to be null and void. So
The term limit thing?
yes, for county commissioners,
Huh.
Jackson or Josephine County, if I remember right.
Well, and we, and you and I were talking about that before. And I'm sorry, the previous commissioner who had been here a number.
Steve McClure,
Steve McClure. Yeah.
legend among ag teachers, among
Right. Right.
county commissioners. Yeah,
Right. And the advantage, and I think he did it for like 20 years or longer, right?
closer to 30. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
With no term limit?
no, there
Well,
was no term
He was
limit before
grandfathered
that.
in because he was in office prior to that.
Before.
Yeah. Yeah. So the advantage of that is that when he did retire, I mean, he was chair of so many boards. I mean, that time brought him a
Institutional
tremendous
knowledge,
amount
yeah.
of influence.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Institutional knowledge really does serve institutions really well, and kind of knowing how the systems work and making those relationships and connections, not only here, but in Salem and
Mhm.
across the state and even in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. So real quick, let me interrupt. So while I'm thinking about it, so the cancer awareness fun run that is this Saturday, we've been told is not to capacity. So if you are interested in registering, you can show up at 8 a.m. or also you can register online at grh.org. So,
And if I may,
yeah,
Grand
ahead.
Ron Hospital's summer fundraising foundation summer fundraising event, Healthier Together, is not this weekend but next weekend, and tickets available for that, as well as some really nice raffles.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool. So you and I were talking, you are producing a newsletter every month of the things that you are involved in. I printed it out. It's 6 pages or 7 pages.
I believe it.
It's a fair amount. Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure it takes you quite a while just to put that thing together.
It does.
Yeah.
It was my campaign promise, and
That you would do it.
that I would. Part of it is what you do. How do we know what you're doing?
Yeah.
And it was like, well, I will try to be better at that. And the newsletter seemed like a good way to do it. I want to say I'm somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 email addresses, and then it actually gets distributed through different channels from that. It takes me, a better part of a day and a half to get it done. And the upside of it is it gives me time to reflect on what I've done and kind of sometimes refocus me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other is, and I got this question fairly often, what do you do? And
Right.
this explains pretty much what I do. And the length of it's a little long, and I'm trying to figure out how to balance getting the right amount of information in there without making it so long that people don't want to read it. My wife, who's much smarter than I am, is saying pictures, because pictures worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
So, and it, like I say, very positive feedback to it. Some people have gone, hey, what about this? Which I think is really the reason that I do it, is so that people, A, are informed, and B, know what I'm doing. I don't sit up there in the office that the people of Union County have let me use and twiddle my thumbs all day.
Yeah.
It's I stay pretty busy.
Well, and I liked that you know, in the newsletter, you had a description of what was happening. You were meeting with a particular board, and you guys were talking about and some of those things, why it was important that you guys were discussing that.
And to a degree, if it's possible, I'll cut and paste
Yeah.
the agenda. I mean, clearly not, the introductions and things like that. But again, and people know what I'm talking about, how, in my view, I'm advocating for the people of Union County.
Yeah.
Do you like writing?
I am the worst type. That's part of the problem.
Do a vlog.
I don't know how.
You sit in front of your computer and hit record on the camera that's on there.
Yeah.
And you talk.
Yeah.
And
I might have to have you help me with that one.
The whole, here's what I did this month. Blah, 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 blah. And it might make it shorter for one thing and a little bit more easier to for you and for people. I mean, because I'm not going to sit there and read 7 pages.
Right.
But
the power, again, and you and I were, we were talking earlier about Twitter and how, I'm a visual learner and watching videos is something else. But at the same time, you can't, what you can skim through print or even a web page, which you certainly could do.
Mm-hmm.
It just has, the value is that you can go, and then you can zoom in on a particular thing, and so on and so forth.
Right.
So,
and in the newsletter, I bold what the topic is or what the meeting was, and then if that piques your interest, then you can read exactly what happened at that.
Yeah.
Well, not exactly, but at least I hope that people have a good idea of what transpires at the meetings I'm attending.
Yeah.
Things like
certainly, if you were an influencer, then you would have a vlog.
Okay. That is not one of my goals in life.
And you'd probably be on TikTok too.
Again,
we'd like to
one of
see
my
you.
goals in life.
Like to see you do some little funky, stupid dance.
Yeah, and think
So, well, cool. Well, so what are some of the issues that are burning up, man?
Well, as last time, the Oregon legislature, and we're to a point now that it reaffirms my belief that if you listen long enough, you hear anything. And yesterday afternoon, I got a text that, hey, I want to move our meeting from when it is because there's a live press conference coming out of the Oregon legislature. So I start checking around. Where's the link? How can I watch this? Didn't happen. And it's pure speculation at this point for everybody on what's going to happen or not going to happen, as the case may be. The most popular rumor, suggestion, guess that I'm hearing now is that the Senate Republicans are not going to come back into the building. And as soon as constitutional sine die, which is the 25th, is met, then after that, the governor will call a special session with a very limited agenda. But I don't even know if that's going to happen. There is a continuing resolution so that all agencies and all the fiscals will be at a current level of funding from this biennium, and that'll they pass that prior to making their statement and leaving, and so it's not like the government's going to shut down. Oregon government's going to shut down.
So the Senate Republicans are still out of the building and have been, right?
I'm not sure how to answer that because when I was there,
maybe not out of the building, but they're not
on the Senate.
They're
floor
not on the floor
for
meeting.
A quorum.
Okay,
yes,
right.
And I've seen a fair number of them in hearings via video. And then when we were there, a couple other county commissioner from Wallowa County and Umatilla County and I went in and were able to see Senator Hansel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was there.
Okay.
And part of, caveat on that is that they were leaving at least 2 Republican senators in the building at any given time.
Okay.
Not 24 hours a day, but and kind of rotating through. But it just happened to be that Senator Hansel was in the building the day I was there.
Okay. And so then for people that don't follow that, and I just kind of follow it. So then what has happened is the Democrats had some controversial stuff that they wanted to push onto the floor. The the business that has to be done was pushed to the end. It hasn't been done yet, right?
Yes, for the fiscals.
Yeah.
Ways and means and
Okay.
capital construction.
Okay.
Those big projects that every community is really, every community is trying to lobby for and advocate for their communities. That's what's on the capital construction list.
Okay.
And then there all of the agency funding and anything to do with money is all held to the very end.
Okay.
And one of the things that I can't remember what, I think it was in May, the Ways and Means Committee have what they call a roadshow, and they came to Ontario, Roseburg, and I want to say somewhere on the coast as well, and heard from local people about the issues that they had, which I give them high marks for doing. And I was able to testify there on a number of priorities for Union County as well as Eastern Oregon Counties Association.
So why are the fiscals pushed to the end purposefully? So then everybody has to stay kind of in the building. They have to stay on the floor to the very end, or is that kind of the norm? You know what I'm saying?
In my short time, that's been the norm. And I think part of it is, and it's not literal, but pretty darn close to horse trading.
Right.
They are making deals, and they've got some pretty large fiscal packages that you go to look at it on OLIS, which is Oregon Legislative Information System, and there is nothing there. It's all
it's still being negotiated,
and then they'll drop it and vote on it.
Wow.
So,
but the reason that they need to come back in, the legislature, the reason everybody needs to come back onto the floor at some point is to vote for the fiscal stuff.
Ideally, yes.
Okay.
I mean, and there could be others, like if there's some, bills that are highly bipartisan, those may be included as well.
Okay.
The ones that are divisive and controversial, my suspicion is those will be left off the list.
Okay.
But at the same time, again, it's a high stakes negotiation. There might be a bill that, take Senator Hansel, for example, really wants to get through, and they won't move it forward because it's not a priority for them, and it doesn't have the level of, they might support it, but it doesn't have the level of bipartisanship that maybe another bill would have.
So, and I'm
or
trying to
be a priority of the minority party.
So when this happened a couple of years ago, I remember one of the funding that EOU was looking for to redo the grand staircase. Okay, that didn't get approved because they didn't come back and approve that. Is that right? Yeah. And so that's an example of how if they don't approve the fiscals, then that money is not distributed to those communities that are out there.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. Then hopefully in the short session, which is every other year, which is where the funding for the grand staircase came from. Hopefully they will get it through at that point.
Okay.
But these folks they've been in Salem since January, and I never did get an accurate count on the number of bills, but it was well over 3,000.
Wow.
Alex says that Senate Republicans are still in the building working on constituent services and participating in hearings, but they're not attending floor sessions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had a question that kind of just, so I know what I was going to ask you. So there was the public voted on a bill that passed that said that if you have someone, the Republicans do this. I mean, I think it was specifically targeted to Republicans. Now, historically, you have to know that both Democrats and Republicans have used this tool to walk off the Senate floor because they didn't want, they were outvoted and they didn't want to, whatever that might be, to go through.
I view it as the nuclear option.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And so that has been historically been used in the past by both parties. So, but there was a referendum that went through
Ballot measure. I want to say it was 113 this last fall. Yeah.
Where it was like, if you miss a certain number of days, then unexcused, if you have a certain number of unexcused absences, then you can't rerun in the future. Is that
right?
So, but I've heard that, that there may be some court challenges to that. What do you know about that?
I would be shocked if there were not court challenges. And they've already I think, started building the case. And my suspicion is they wouldn't have done this if they didn't feel confident that they had a case for challenging that law. Senator Hansel, for example, though, I mean, he's retiring after this term. So held harmless, I think, to a degree, but there are many others that are not in that same situation.
Right. So what a mess.
Yes.
So I guess let's come closer to home.
Okay.
What's burning up in Union County? What are some things that are?
Please don't say that.
What are some
right
things
there.
that are current and
Well, yesterday we held our mandatory discussion on moving, or Union County being participants in moving to our county to Idaho. We had the best turnout we've had so far, which I was really pleased. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 people. Multiple people spoke on both sides of the issue. I thought everyone was very cordial to each other, even if they disagreed, which I am a firm believer in. It is really okay to disagree, but not to be disagreeable.
Right. Yeah.
And they were all, and interestingly enough, as it closed, those two sides were having conversations in the meeting room and in the hallway, which I thought was good.
Do they video that?
It's on Zoom.
Yeah, but they don't have like a place where you can go watch.
Oh, we don't post them. No.
That'd be fun to watch.
Yeah, it was. It was. So that obviously, and especially with like we said, the strife in Salem. This is people are concerned about that on both sides. And I don't want to say
stripe and what it was.
Strife in Salem.
Oh, strife. Sorry.
Yeah,
okay,
sorry. Strife in Salem. Yeah. Unrest.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Train going off the track, or gone off the tracks, and both sides.
Right.
And I don't want to really judge it, but I would say it was not quite 50-50 on the people in the room at that time. So
now, and I thought I heard some news where has Wallowa County, have they already signed on to we're in favor of that? I mean, are all of the counties in our area kind of in the same boat where they're having the meetings and they're listening, or are any of them taking further steps?
Well, I didn't read Wallowa County's ballot title, but their voters by 8 votes, I think was the final count, had something similar to where they have discussions.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Umatilla County has not voted that I'm aware of. And I don't know that there's a plan to have them, but virtually, I want to say it's 13 counties in 13 counties in Eastern Oregon have, their voters have said, we want to have the discussion.
We want you to talk about this. Yeah.
Idaho legislature did talk about it. They had one person that was very excited about it. Oregon's legislature, Senator Lithicum, had a bill. Well, it's actually a memorandum, I think, joint memorandum, and it didn't gain any traction. Never got a hearing. So apparently, the Oregon legislature is not interested in talking about it.
I can't even begin to imagine the logistics of redrawing the lines of a state. I mean, I
have a hard time getting my head wrapped around it.
It's not going to happen in our lifetime.
Yeah, I know, but even if you had the power to do it, the state highway system, I mean, all of that state infrastructure would have to be
Eastern Oregon University,
right? Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I say if you want this place to be Idaho, move to Idaho.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, I don't. Yeah. But I think I don't think the motivation is to be Idaho. The motivation is to not be Western Oregon.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And towards the end of the meeting, I talked about this for just a second, and I was not trying to be funny. I wasn't trying to be sarcastic, but I mean, one of the topics that middle of the night popped into my head was, what happens to my Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife points that I've been saving, or not really saving, but not being able to draw the Mount Emily Big Bull Tag.
Yeah. Right. People wait a lifetime for that.
Exactly. And my points are my points. And what happens if we go to Idaho? I mean, and
there's a lot of what happened.
Exactly. Yeah.
A whole pocket full.
But I think the message is Eastern Oregon is tired of not being considered.
Yes.
They're tired of not being heard.
Yeah. The frustration.
Yeah.
And people are probably tired of hearing me say this. I think I understand the frustration as well as anybody.
Sure.
Having gone through COVID as a county commissioner, where the state came in and said, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to close your schools, you're going to do this, that, and the other thing. And really without any communication. I mean, there were some days where the rules and changes would go from here to there within a day. And it was not really, I thought, all that productive for us because, again, didn't feel like we had a voice.
Right.
Having said that, I do see some improvement out of the new governor. She was here.
I was going to say, and that's what I was going to ask you about was, how did that go?
I thought it went well. We don't align on a lot of things. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But for me, she was here. She listened. She asked what I thought were really good questions and seemed genuinely interested. And for me, I was out at the particle board plant of wood grains for her tour of that. And then later that evening, there was a group of elected officials and their spouses that had dinner with her. And there was nothing off the table. I mean, all topics to include Idaho, and it bothers her. And which, again, I think is not a bad sign that she knows that people are not happy over here. And I mean, I've walked into rooms where I know people do not like me or do not like my politics or don't like the position I'm taking on something. And it's not easy. Yeah. And I give her a lot of credit for walking into Union and Umatilla, Union, and Wallowa counties on that trip and standing there and listening. And she did. And there wasn't I didn't think there was any friction in it. And then just call it the way the stars lined up, or I'm not sure how you would put it. But so that was on a Thursday. The next Monday, there were 8 county commissioners from across Eastern Oregon that met with her. And again, there was nothing was taken from the table. Every topic, from wolves to, again, the Idaho border issue, because I'm trying to think, I think all but one of those county commissioners, two, have voted to start discussions about becoming part of Idaho. And like you said, is it going to happen in our lifetime? I would be shocked. There are just so many hurdles. Senator Merkley was here the other day. He said virtually the same thing. And at some point, it does take an act of Congress. So
I feel like we should be spending more time trying to be heard in Oregon than having these meetings about moving to Idaho. I think it would be way more, it would serve the purpose so much more to fight the West Side in a sense, rather than having these meetings like, in 50 years we might be Idaho.
And I agree. And I spend an awful lot of my time trying to build those bridges, make those relationships. I'm probably not the best at it, but for example, after the Ways and Means in Ontario, Senator Finley had a no-host dinner where all the legislators were invited to be there, and then city officials, county officials were there. Had a really good, I thought, productive conversation with Representative Pham, and she is Southeast Portland and really knowledgeable about transportation and really knowledgeable about transportation needs and issues, not only in the metro, but in Eastern Oregon. And didn't know that about her before. And then she found out some of the issues that I was concerned about. So I think it's those conversations where you drop your guard, put down the boxing gloves, and talk to people.
Yeah, and we've had so much pressure and dissension between the two parties over the last 5 years in Oregon,
Right.
with COVID and everything, that we haven't had the opportunity to do that much.
Correct. Yes. And then, another, and baby steps is the way I'm looking at it. That actually about a month from now, Commissioner Shushila Jayapal, oh my goodness, Shushila Jayapal is going to come here, and
That's a hard one to say.
It
Wow.
is. It is.
Yeah.
She actually has a
tongue twister.
video on how to pronounce her name. Sue Sheila Jayapal. There we go.
Jayapal.
Yes, she is a Multnomah County Commissioner, and the number of people that she represents is well over 250,000 people. And we hatched this plan prior to COVID. I think I may have talked about it before or not.
You might have, but
Okay.
remind us. Yeah.
So she's coming to Union County. We're going to a farm. Part of what one of her causes is that she wants to see use of diesel go away. And I want to show her how dependent we are on diesel, especially in the farming community. And beyond that, if there were an option, we would be adopting it.
Right.
Because of the technology that our farmers use right now.
Right.
It's not like we're using diesel because we don't have to. I mean, that's
right.
what it's
right.
based on.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I took a little bit of a bird walk there. Wants to see a sawmill working, and we're going to get her in there. Really wants to see how interagency, county, state, federal work on the fire side of things. So made tentative arrangements, and we're going to work out the details. That she'll go to a fire briefing in the morning. She'll go see the rappel base. She'll see the tanker base and what they do, and the county's role in that, because we supply them with their fuel. And then the interagency dispatch out there. Going to take her to Anthony Lakes for summer at the Star Bottle for part of it, because I want to kind of mix a little bit of showing our county off,
right.
as well as the other is, and I haven't made final arrangements, but the Veterans Village that Gus Chachas did, and Timber Ridge out near the freeway for the affordable housing. So,
wow.
and then
go ahead, finish.
As I'm putting this together, what do I want to see? And which is a question I posed to her, and I gave her a list of options, and she prioritized them.
Let me add, just so people understand, when you say 250,000 people she represents, that's 10 times the people that you represent.
Oh yeah, yeah.
In Union County. I mean, that's a big, that's a lot of people. I mean, 250,000.
Yeah. I mean, and her job is significantly different than mine, in that she's got multiple staffers for her, not for the whole office, for her.
Just for her.
Yeah. And I can't remember, I read it the other day, and their budget is in the billions of dollars. And it's, yeah. And again, we don't align, but we can have civil conversations and so, yeah. And going back to what I would like to see, I want to see how their port system works. I want to see how, I don't understand how Metro works. And Metro is city, county, and multiple county and multiple city, and then different jurisdictions that come together and develop policy as a group, if I understand it correctly. And that's one of the things that I'd like to see. The other, which I have a young person that jokingly I call her my consigliere from The Godfather, and I bounce things off of her fairly often, and was talking about this, and she goes, if you could find out how the food cart pods work, that would be great, because people are always talking about how do they do it, how does it work, what are the logistics of, how do they pay for it, what's the fee, how do they recruit, things like that. So that's one of the things I'd like to do is see how the food cart pod system works in Multnomah County.
Huh.
The other is because, we're looking at potentially, hopefully someday, either redoing or building a new jail. I want to see their jail system, which is, when I first asked her about it, she said, which one? They have multiple jails, which I was not aware of.
Wow.
County jails plus city jail.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be good for both of us. I think for me, it's probably going to be out of my comfort zone, and I suspect it will be for her as well.
Yeah.
But
I doubt she's ever been in a mill.
No, but actually, that was one of her top requests,
Yeah.
if possible, to get into a mill. And so,
Right. And I think the value, what you're talking about, though, is the value of staying curious, the value of being a lifelong learner. And if that really is your thing, then you're interested in learning, understanding perspectives outside of your own.
mm-hmm.
And that is so valuable, and it's sometimes difficult for people to do that. I mean, we kind of like, okay, I've had it. It's easy for people to say, I got it.
Put up walls.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you. Yeah,
I know who you are. I know what you stand
right.
for. I don't believe those things. Forget it. And
in a nonpartisan position, though, that should be part of your job. In my
I see it that way.
It should be right in your job requirements. You have to be open to other people's views. I mean, that's just how it is.
In the last 2 weeks, literally last 2 weeks, I was the Senator Merkley's office asked me when he did his town hall if I would be the MC for it. Certainly. Yes, I will do that.
Yeah.
Be honored to do it. I mean, we're talking about a person that carries a lot of clout in Washington, D.C., and to say, oh, no, he's a Democrat and I'm a Republican, why would I do that? Especially, like you said, in a nonpartisan position. Last week, I happened to be in Washington, D.C., and was able to see Congressman Bentz twice. So one evening for a very non-formal, just visited about a number of topics. And then the next day for a formal meeting, which I had never been in a congressman's office where it was just me, the congressman, and the staffers. And again, to have that access, I think is huge.
Yeah. It makes a big difference. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for doing that and continuing to try and get out of your comfort zones. And what else is going on that we need to talk about?
Eastern Oregon Women's Coalition.
Okay.
There were a number, again, bipartisan or nonpartisan, excuse me, not bipartisan. Well, I guess they would be. Nonpartisan women got together a few years ago and said, we need to promote Eastern Oregon and our economic situation. And how do we do that? How do we benefit it? First year was just prior to COVID. The president is Representative Levy, but there are people from all over, women from all over Eastern Oregon that are the driving force behind this. 2 days in Hermiston, they had representatives and senator from the Oregon legislature from both sides of the aisle. They had panel discussions, very relaxed. They had great keynote speakers, and the plan all along was to rotate it between Umatilla County, Union County, Malheur County, Baker County, so that it wasn't the same place every year. That's coming to Union County 1st of August, actually August 2nd and 3rd, and really excited to host folks for that. There's going to be tour on water. I believe Commissioner Beveridge is leading that tour on place-based water planning. There's going to be an affordable housing where, again, I think we're going to be able to see the Veterans Village from Gus Chachas and his company, and then the Timber Ridge project, which I was able to tour a while back, and it is really a nice place. And I hope it fits a need like I think it's going to. And they're going to be doing a downtown walking tour to kind of see, not only the small businesses and their struggles and successes, but also some of the empty storefronts. And Eastern Oregon University is very involved in it, and they're going to happen to be here for the evening of the Sip Shop Repeat, which is kind of exciting. The governor was here for the Sip Shop Repeat that the chamber puts on, and she and her spouse had a really good time and bought some goodies. And yeah, it's but the Eastern Oregon Women's Coalition, I think it's going to be good to get folks here to, again, kind of see from our lens what life is like.
So and I agree from the standpoint of the event being here. I mean, those benefits are obvious, but help me understand. And I'm kind of walking out on fragile property here. So do women feel like they're not represented? I mean, what's the overall purpose of a coalition like that? Is it to bring the awareness? Because from my perspective, we have women leader all around us, and I mean, they're whoever's the best for the job. I don't care what their gender is, and so help me get my head around why. Because I mean, locally there's an emphasis on women business owners and so on and so forth. Is it so that they, I don't know, talk to me about that. So help me understand that. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Would be the short answer. But I think it wasn't really, it was that these women saw a need and took it up as their cause rather than we're not being heard.
Okay.
In my view, we're not being heard as a region or the rest of the state, and even federal representatives or their field folks need to hear our story. I don't think it was specifically women, because the topics are not gender specific.
Okay.
Yeah, they are region specific.
Okay. So, okay.
So
I'm with you, BC. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, and no, I
don't have. I mean, if the purpose is to help a group, but it doesn't matter if it's an ethnic group. It doesn't matter what that is. If it's so that they want to get together so that they have camaraderie and they don't feel alone, which I think is something I can get my head around and understand that. You know, anyhow, then I understand that.
And I don't want to speak for them, but in my view, they saw a void that needed to be filled, and they filled it. And they had different style and different connections. And for, quite a few years, they have what's called the Governor's Luncheon at Pendleton Roundup. And Friday after the parade, elected officials and of county, city, state, federal representatives are all invited to a picnic lunch and part of it is those connections that they had. They were able to get all of that sponsored. So it's, again, I don't believe it is made up of women, but it's not like women's issues, it's regional issues.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see them come here. And
well, from an economic standpoint, it's like anybody who lands here, I mean, they tour around and have their conference wherever they have, and that's a huge benefit for us.
Yep. And it's going to be a boon to people are going to be staying in motels. They're going to be, shopping. They're going to be eating restaurant, which is always good for local businesses. I'm pretty excited about it.
I kind of feel, I think that there's a little bit of energy that I haven't felt in the past. I mean, now part of that could be we're coming out of COVID and things are finally coming back. But still, I mean, there's just a lot of new businesses. There's food trucks in the area that are kind of cropping up here and there. There's just a lot of things that we haven't experienced in the past that I think that help us grow economically. That, I don't know. I sense like an energy that hasn't been here in the last 15 years that I've been kind of.
And I would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
And part of it is, and I can't remember who I was having this discussion with the other day. To me, and can't remember, we're at the top of the roller coaster. I mean, and the great things are in front of us, and we are picking right now, we're just cresting the top, picking up that momentum. And I think the near future, things are looking really bright for Union County. Having said that, I saw there's a business closing in Union County, that a nursery business, and that bothers me. I see Wallowa County's got fairly, I thought, busy restaurant and sundry, well, M. Crow is closing because they can't get anybody to work for them. So, and I said this yesterday, every single meeting I go to, whether it's state, local, national, doesn't matter at what level, hiring individuals to work is painfully difficult now,
Terrible.
if it happens at all. Childcare and housing. Those are the three topics that are common to, doesn't matter what the meeting's about. Those are the three things that are driving the conversation. And like I said, hopefully we're doing some baby steps, getting things going in affordable housing. And we're working with the planning department on trying to figure out where we can have measured growth and where, without, in my view, using up good farmland to build houses on. You see that way too often. And how do we get people better trained? How do we recruit and retain people? So all those things are important.
Well, I think one of the things that we really need to focus on too is staying ahead of the game. And when I say that, I mean things are going to change with the lack of good employees. People I don't even like going out to eat. Most places I don't, because a lot of times you don't get the service that you're used to because people don't want to work. So you have to hire people that aren't as fit for the job. You know what I mean? And the same thing with like getting groceries. A lot of people don't even walk in the store to get their groceries anymore. We have to stay ahead of that and be progressive when it comes to that, or we're, any town's in trouble. I think.
Right. And for a while there, it was every business you went to, it would have a sign that said help wanted.
Right.
I mean, every single business. And now it's closing due to staffing shortages.
Yeah.
Which
or we're closed from closing early, or
exactly.
Or they don't even answer the phone. We had a poker game the other night. We called, and I don't want to say any names. We called a local pizza place. We had put an online order for an hour, no answer. When we got the delivery, we turned the phones off. We're too busy.
Yeah. And I think to a lot, there are some businesses that are, and even we saw this through COVID, were absolutely killing it. And then others that were withering on the vine. And I think you're right. It's a new normal that we're dealing with. Yeah. And I hope I can be a positive part of that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I always appreciate the amount, and we could talk another hour just about.
I do. If there is any time left, I have a Doddsy story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, not about you.
Oh, okay, good. That's good because it might not.
Yeah. So I was at a regional meeting in St. George, Utah. First night, met up with a couple of county commissioners from Oregon. We walked into this restaurant. There was a table with quite a few other Oregon commissioners at it, and waved and said hello and everything. And I looked over and I saw someone sitting at this table, and I thought, I know them. I've never met this person, but his brother was an ag teacher, and I knew him very well, his brother very well, and then his sister is my cardiologist. Rulon Gardner, the Olympic gold medalist wrestler.
Yeah.
And so I texted his brother and said, hey, I think Rulon's here in the restaurant. And he goes, where are you? And I said, St. George, Utah. And he goes, well, that makes sense. He lives there, which I had no idea. And like I say, I've never met Rulon before in my life. He goes, you've got to go say hello to him. So clearly in a business meeting, and I didn't want to interrupt him. And so when it finally started to break up, I walked over and said, don't mean to interrupt, but I said, your brother was a good friend of mine, and we taught together for years. And I said, your sister is literally one of the main reasons I'm standing here in front of you. And he goes, where are you from? And I said, LeGrand. He goes, oh, my roommate at Rick's was Dad Miller.
Yeah.
Bro's son.
Yep.
And
that's
short
funny.
story long, I was able to get pictures with him. And because it was a business meeting and he was making a pitch, and it's part of his persona, is I have a picture of me standing next to Rulon, and I'm holding the Olympic gold medal.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I love my job.
Yeah.
His sister's husband came into the poker room one night and was just walking by, came in and he introduced himself and we had a nice long conversation. And then Ruan was actually supposed to wrestle in the Nationals this year at Las Vegas. I mean, he was actually signed up. I don't know what stopped it or whatever, but it was big news. I mean, he's in his 50s and he was going to wrestle, and they have a Masters division. And that would have been cool, though, man.
Yeah.
What a story his story is.
Yeah. Just like sitting down with you two, though. I mean, I'd known him my entire life. It was
awesome.
It was fun.
That's
Very
cool. Yeah. And if you don't know who that is, just Google them.
Yeah. Gold medal heavyweight wrestler.
Yeah.
Beat the Russians.
Beat the unbeatable Russian in 2000. 2000, 2002. No, it was 2000.
It was 2000. It was the even year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Australia.
Yeah.
I don't remember the Russian's name, but he was supposed to walk through everybody.
Yep.
And Ruan beat him in the finals.
Crazy stuff.
Yep. Awesome.
Well, you want to get us out of here?
Let's do it. It'll be a quick one.
Okay.
On this day, which is June 15th, 1775, George Washington was appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army the day after Congress established the fort. So he was the first Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. On this day in 1864, Arlington Military Cemetery becomes a military cemetery, and it's Robert E. Lee's home area, Arlington, Virginia, and that's why they chose that area. 1921, Bessie Coleman earns her pilot license in France, becoming the first African-American woman and Native American woman to hold one. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's 102 years ago. It's a long time ago. And then finally in 2019, a baseball jersey belonging to Babe Ruth becomes the most expensive sports memorabilia when it sells for $5.64 million at auction in New York.
Wow.
That's crazy. There's baseball cards that have sold for that much since then. So, I mean, in the last couple of years, because of COVID and just everything that's gone on, the sports card and memorabilia trade is boomed. I mean, there's like cards that are coming out now, right? So say like you're buying a pack of cards right now, the high end, the top end, and you have a chance at pulling a $500,000 card. But the box cost you $20,000 to buy.
Oh,
that's how,
Wow.
I mean, it's gotten to that. It's crazy how much these things are worth now. The number one song, let me see if I can get this pulled up. On this day in 1973, My Love by Paul McCartney and Wings. 1973 on this day. And then the quote for the day, here it is. The best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today. The best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today. H. Jackson Brown Jr.
All righty.
That's it.
Thank you, Eastern Oregon. Appreciate you being with
Cody
us.
said, thank you, Commissioner. Alex put a bunch more comments in there that I didn't get to. You can go and read them if you want to, people that are watching or you, about the Senate and, all the different Metro. He talks a little bit about Metro, too.
Don't forget the Grand Ronde Hospital Cancer Awareness Fun Run this Saturday. You can register at 8 a.m. It begins at 9 p.m. at the track right below the hospital. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.